So coming up on 2.5 Geeks, can the Dell Streak actually be cool? Find out why NVIDIA is not afraid of Intel Sandy Bridge, how you can win an awesome gaming rig, and a whole lot more.
The bar has been set wicked fast.
It rocked in the benchmarks. We're going to up the ante a little bit.
Processing power, I kind of understand this. Hello, welcome to 2.5 Geeks. I'm Ayaz Akhtar alongside HotHardware's Dave Altavilla and Marco Chiappetta. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Fantabulous, and you, sir?
I am ill today, so if I look tired and I seem out of it, it's not just because I don't understand what's going on. It's because I seem to be sick. But don't pity me. Let's talk tech, shall we? Let's talk about
vitamin C.
Well, I'll have some of that. Maybe I should take some tablets. Maybe we should talk about Dell tablets. Aha. Yeah,
that was smooth, baby.
It was smooth until we mentioned it. Let's talk about the Dell Streak. Now, if you guys have ever seen this thing, it's a hugely disappointing piece of hardware out there. It came out with Android Donut, I think, and it just didn't have the chops to be a great tablet. But now, Froyo has been added to the Dell Streak. Now, Dave, you've played with it. Does it make that big of a difference?
It makes a big difference to me, for sure. Surprised to hear you say that about the Streak. I thought it was, hardware-wise, a pretty sleek-looking device. You didn't like it?
I think it's because the experience was so lackluster that the hardware just didn't seem like it was keeping up. Did Froyo make the screen feel any different? Did it feel like it was more responsive?
Well, yeah. I mean, certainly the initial 1.6 install that Dell released on the device was hampered in a number of spots, performance-wise, and then even basic things like supporting Flash and Flash Player 10.1. So, yeah, absolutely. Froyo, the Dell supported Froyo update came out a few weeks ago. We took the time to upgrade the machine and watched the experience both from a general features and functionality perspective, usage model on the device go up a few notches, as well as the benchmarks, which went up a few notches. But what's most impressive, certainly, about this update is the performance benchmark numbers that we saw increase dramatically. And 3D Bench, for example, a gaming benchmark that we look at that's available on Android Marketplace, went up over twofold from 1.6 to 2.2 on the Streak. So we went from something like 15.5 frames a second to 38 frames per second in this test. And then NeoCore, another gaming test we do, went up another 10 frames per second, about a 50% improvement from 25 to 35. And, Caffeine Mark, like up off the charts. That's a JavaScript benchmark we do, test we run, as well as LinPack for Android and Benchmark PI. These are standard compute sort of intensive benchmarks we run. All the numbers went, up and to the right dramatically. So good stuff from the folks at Dell with this release.
Sounds interesting. Marco, I know you guys got to check out some new, I think it's AMD Graphics Cards, the HD 6970 and the 6950. And what makes them different is the actual GPU technology, right?
Yes, absolutely. So here's the 6950. They look identical, save for the connectors up here, but that'll give you an idea of what the cards look like. So it is a brand new GPU. It's actually a new architecture, and a new GPU design on both the 6970 and the 6950. It is the single fastest GPU that AMD has ever produced. The numbers versus the Radeon HD 5870, which is the previous gen, are vastly superior. Huge gains basically across the board. Similar feature set. They're both DirectX 11. The new GPUs, the Cayman GPU as it's called in the 6970 and 6950 though, have vastly improved geometry performance. So tessellation in DX11 apps that support it is much better. These cards also have huge 2 gig frame buffers, so that'll help with AA at high resolutions. There's some new anti-aliasing modes, just refinement and improved performance all around.
Now, we were talking in the pre-show. Marco, you were saying there was some kind of like real-world quirks about this, that it only seems to work really well at high frame rates?
No, that's not exactly the point I was making. We were talking about the 2 gig frame buffers and how, it's basically the most per GPU of any consumer level card. Most cards today have 1 gig or 1.5 gig. And now generally you hear something has more memory and you say, okay, definitely better. Now 2 gigs of frame buffer memory is technically better, but with the current crop of games and applications out there, that extra frame buffer memory doesn't really come into play unless you're running at really high resolutions with high levels of anti-aliasing. Now, with that said, if you want a card that's more future-proof, more memory is better. And just because it doesn't help across the board now in every game doesn't mean it won't in a few months. So the 2 gig frame buffer is a definite plus. It's just not a huge plus unless you're running at high resolutions.
So you're saying that as long as you are running high resolutions, it's worthwhile. Otherwise, not yet?
Well, technically yes, but I have to actually add another wrinkle. These cards support Eyefinity, so you don't need to have crazy expensive monitors. Let's say you're running 3 22-inch monitors in an Eyefinity configuration. That's obviously a high enough total resolution to warrant the extra frame buffer memory. If you're running a single monitor and it's smaller than 30 inches, you're not going to see much benefit from the extra memory.
Okay, I think I kind of got that. But let's talk about tablets, because I kind of get tablets. I know Dave got to play with the ViewSonic ViewPad 7. I think this is that $479 little tablet.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
It's pretty slick, and it seems like we're talking a lot about tablets these days. Hope we're not boring you too much with tablets there, Ayaz, but they're certainly all the rage, aren't they?
I like tablets.
Yeah, they're cool as long as they're done right. And let's face it, Apple did the iPad mostly right on the first shot. They left a few things that needed polishing, but now the competitors are stepping up in the Android space, as we talked about. Certainly the Dell Streak is one of them, and ViewSonic's ViewPad 7 is what we're looking at. Actually, we just launched the review on it today, and it's pretty good. It's sort of a tweener product for me, and by that I mean it has some lower end specs in spots. It's a 7-inch tablet with full capacitive touchscreen. It has lots of I/O options: USB, SD card, SIM card slot. The works, and but it's lacking in a couple of areas. One is only 512 meg of onboard ROM storage. There's 512 meg of RAM for system memory and 512 meg of ROM. So it's a little light there. The other thing that sounds a little bit, at least on the surface, a little bit light duty is the 600 megahertz ARM11 processor that's in this thing. Come to find out, though, it's actually not that bad. It's a next generation ARM architecture. It's clocked a little bit lower. It has Adreno 200 graphics core in it, which is what's in the Dell Streak and these other 1 gig Snapdragon processor-based machines that are out there in the market. Some of the smartphones use that processor. And it actually, from a performance standpoint, offers somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 80 or 90% of, say, a Dell Streak. And in some cases, for like our Neo Core benchmark, it offered comparable performance, identical. Where we found it fell short was, again, that onboard storage, and frankly, just having a little bit more muscle for the price. If this thing was priced, along the 300, 350 range, okay, now we're talking, a nice price point for a 7-inch tablet, but it's into the $459 to $479 price range. And for the way this thing's configured, we expect a little bit more, just a little bit more.
I mean, have you found any reason why that price is at $479 when there's like a 10-inch version of it at a much lower price?
So yeah, there's a couple of reasons why the 7-inch tablet costs a little bit more than the 10-inch tablet. Front and rear facing cameras, for one thing, on the ViewPad 7. The other thing is it has a 3G cellular radio built in. So although it doesn't come provisioned from a carrier, Verizon, what have you, you can potentially, and we haven't done any research on this directly ourselves, but you can pop a SIM card in the slot and get this thing on a 3G cellular network. So there's a 3G radio in there as well. So there's some additional cost there for sure in those two components. Is it enough to warrant roughly a $80 increase over the 10-inch tablet with a 10-inch screen? I don't know. It's kind of a stretch, and we think this 7-inch model, if it was priced a little bit more competitively, could sell pretty well. It's actually a nice machine.
There's a lot of murmurs about Intel's next-gen processors. Sandy Bridge is out there, and they're talking about the graphics are supposed to be amazing, but NVIDIA, they make GPUs, so they're they are not afraid. Now, Marco, why are they not afraid of Intel's brand spanking new Sandy Bridge?
So this is kind of funny. Sandy Bridge does have vastly improved graphics versus previous Intel integrated solutions. It's on the processor. We've seen it work. Performance is definitely better than the previous gen in what we've seen. And you'd think that if, okay, graphics is basically going to come for free, it's going to be in the processors, all of the low-end kind of discrete GPU offerings are in trouble. You'd think OEMs are going to build notebooks or desktop systems and just not throw graphics cards in there because the Intel graphics are going to be, good enough. But what's happening is we're seeing a ton, and we've actually talked to NVIDIA. We've seen some preliminary designs. We have some information that it's not quite time to disclose yet, but there are literally hundreds of new design wins that NVIDIA has in store that all use their Optimus technology or some of their new discrete GPUs. Most of these are in the mobile space for now, but what's funny is just the traction that Optimus has in the market right now and its ability to switch between discrete and integrated graphics. People just seem to want it. So OEMs are going to be offering Sandy Bridge-based notebooks that also have NVIDIA Optimus. And we're hearing that next-gen NVIDIA mobile GPUs that are going to come right around the CES timeframe along with Sandy Bridge, their low end could potentially offer 2x the performance of Intel's integrated graphics in most games. So, it's funny, the high-performance Intel graphics are coming. It's going to smoke their previous integrated graphics solutions. But versus discrete stuff that's constantly advancing at a much faster pace than CPUs, all right, maybe it's as fast in the beginning, but it's going to get surpassed fairly quickly. And, to be honest, in the long run, I would think the integrated graphics is going to chip away at some, discrete market share, but it's not going to kill it right away like some of the people were saying in the beginning.
You know what? I think we should give the viewers just like a prize. What do you guys say?
A cookie.
I think we should.
Not just cookies. I know you guys give cookies all the time at the site. How about an awesome killer system? Dave, what can the people win?
Yes, the people can win a awesome killer system from the folks at Digital Storm. We're having our HH Holiday Sweepstakes with the folks at Digital Storm, and we have an exclusive giveaway. It's the Digital Storm PC with Cooler Master case, an Intel Core i7 950 processor, an Asus Sabertooth X58 motherboard, 6 gig of RAM. It's got Radeon 6870 graphics, 1 gig of memory on that card, but still enough to run anything you want in high resolution with all the eye candy turned on. Killer gaming rig up for grabs. Just join our contest, go through a few steps, Facebook pages, things like that, and you're in.
There is a reader question. I guess they're actually more like reader questions about Sandy Bridge. You guys are in the know. You guys know stuff. What can you tell the audience right now without getting yourself into legal trouble? How about you, Marco?
We have a bunch of guys that keep drilling us in the forum asking for more Sandy Bridge info. We don't know too much about it just yet. I don't know. We haven't really quite tested anything. We haven't had our hands on too much just yet. It's just not. It's just a little too early to disclose all the details. But what we can say is a bunch of stuff is in the lab. It's coming quickly. We are, working our magic, and we're able to tell everybody about it really soon.
So you can say this, though. I'm pretty sure it's nice, isn't it?
Thumbs up.
It's going to be nice.
It's going to be nice. That's all we can say right now.
We want to tell everybody everything. We just can't just yet.
Okay, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode, and you can find everything we talked about at HotHardware.com, or you can go around the web and just go to any place like Facebook.com/HotHardware, Dig.com/HotHardware, Twitter.com/HotHardware, or YouTube.com/HotHardwareVids. And shall we say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all the viewers?
I think we should. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And
Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and whatever else.
New Year. And
Festivus.
Yeah.
And Festivus.
Festivus.
Don't forget your feats of strength.
Festivus for the rest of us, baby.
When you surround the giant pole. And if you don't know what we're talking about, look it up on Wikipedia.